Bonjour, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're going to be starting in the next few seconds, and thank you for the people having registered and joining us today to be able to discover how you can set up, manage, scale up your fashion brand. But beyond that, it's going to be any kind of fashion project you're going to be interested in. Well, we're all on time and we're here to be able to talk about the Sales Booster Fashion Masterclass. Today you have a project in the fashion world. Today you have a brand, or maybe you have a retail business. We're going to help you generate more sales, but mostly more profitable sales. My name is Thierry Bell. I'm the founder of Global Fashion Management and the London Fashion Business Academy. Today it's really a challenging time. And nobody knows it all. If you're here today, I can guarantee you will be part of the 20% of people who will be more successful. Despite the challenges that we face, despite the time of crisis, despite the fact that, some boutiques are closed, despite that maybe some, internet retailers are struggling and may or may not be willing to take your goods. We're going to discover how you can build your business more successfully. So, really excited to have you on board today. What do I want to share after 25 years is that, first of all, we are confronted with a lot of noise in the industry. What the clients and the prospect I talk to every single week tell me, they don't really know where is the right news, where is the wrong news. How do you identify fake news? How do you make sure you understand whether the people you talk to are the right team members or partners for your business? If you're on a boat, do you know your destination? Because most probably, if you don't, you're not going to get there. My job today is to find a new way to introduce things which are going to be relevant to you building your business in a profitable way. We've got to make sure that, we help you identify the routes to success and make sure you don't go the wrong way, because going the wrong way could cost you a season, 2 or 3 seasons. And you know how much it costs to build a brand. Why am I so, passionate about helping, especially startups, young designers, emerging designers? Is because over the years, I've seen a lot of people putting your personal savings, borrowing money from family and friends and losing it all within 6, 12 months. I act as expert for the trade show Who's Next in Paris. I meet with a young designer and, she had invested in Europe on a trade show for 2 seasons. And basically she didn't pick up any order. And she told me, Thierry, it's too late. I had to close the brand. And when we talk Sales Booster program, it's all about a process, because the sales are going to come at the end of a process as of a step-by-step. You're not going to get sales. I'm not going to get sales unless we make sure that the things that precede sales work well. I tell my clients and they agree, and hopefully you will agree as well. To make sure that we understand that we're in the same business. Your business is my business. We both have to find a prospect. We both have to make sure that this prospect becomes a client. And we both have to get that client to come back. The only difference between you and me is you're going to be selling jewelry, accessories, fashion apparel. I might be offering more, coaching, mentoring, consulting, interim management, advising. But we still have to make sure we invest time in sales and getting those clients to come back. The challenge we all have, especially in a time of crisis, is getting that new mindset. And I would emphasize new business mindset to get those results, new results that you're expecting. You remember, I want you to send your questions because it's about your live stream, your event. So with Global Fashion Management and the London Fashion Business Academy, send your questions before our events. Make sure you send us questions during the events. And of course, feel free to send them afterwards. If we are able to deal with them quickly, because we may have a free article or free video, we'll be happily sending it over to you. So never stay alone. It's not going to help you, and it's not going to help us help you as well. So once again, if you're here today, it means you are open to finding a new way to set up and grow your brand. And that, I can promise you, is going to change the results you're going to get over the next 6, 12 months and moving forward. Now, where do I come from? I was really fortunate, to have a father who was a diplomat. And, I had to live in 7 countries before the age of 18. And when I started in fashion, I had to set up a business in the US. I had to manage a business in the UK and deal with young designers, SMEs, and larger corporations. But also, what is really unique in the experience I'm able to share with you today is that every single week I've been talking to brands and retailers, as well as all the other fashion stakeholders. What do I mean by the others? It's going to be talking about boutiques, as well as department stores. It's going to be talking to agents and distributors. It's going to be talking about logistics, credit management issues, talking to lawyers and accountants, trade shows, PR companies, manufacturers, and of course, building a network of people to support your projects. But most of all, I'm able to better understand, the complexity of an opportunity or a challenge you face. I'm able, in a better position, to understand the questions and understanding where it can go right and where it can go wrong. And that's why a client told me, Thierry, you care more about my business than I do. And what the designer meant, because I asked him the question, why do you say that? Is because where he was seeing a red flag, told me, I was able to see a green flag. Where he was seeing a green flag, I was able to spot and prove to him that it was a red flag. So he was able to move forward much more effectively, saving time, saving money for himself, the business, and the team, and the partners working with them. So, and my job today is also to make sure that you understand that not everything has to be very expensive. And it's because of you, thanks to you, that Global Fashion Management launched the London Fashion Business Academy. So you get an online course to answer 50 to 90% of all the questions that you have and the solutions that you need to implement in your business tomorrow. And then through one-to-one, we can fill in the rest of the gap. Now, today we are in a new normal. Now, I could give you solutions today, and you're going to say, great. And if you see it fits your business and your context and what you're trying to achieve in 2020 and 2021, you're going to jump on board, use it effectively, hopefully, and it's going to produce the results. But the question is, a solution that you may apply today for the French market, the UK market, for the American market, may not be applicable outside that territory or outside that context. And I see it every single week. So you've got a choice. Do you want somebody who's just going to give you a solution, like giving you a fish to eat every day? Or do you want somebody who's going to teach you how to fish and therefore, on your own, have a sustainable, financially sustainable business? I know that my clients, the people I talk to, that's exactly what they want. They want to make sure that we train them how to fish. And that's the reason why this live stream is going to be a little bit different than maybe others you've been attending in the world of fashion. So what is one golden rule, one top tip that you need to go through to maximize the opportunities that you have? Well, first, it's going to be about vision and values. You need to know precisely, what do you stand for? Why are you creating what you're creating? What are you designing what you're designing? And therefore, you want to make sure that you build strong foundations, because today, unlike maybe 20 or 30 or 50 years ago, today, people want to understand why you do things. In the past, it was about, what do you do? I just do dresses. How do you do them? And why do you do them? Today, it's about why. They want to understand the reason. For Global Fashion Management and the London Fashion Business Academy, it's about supporting you, guiding you, advising you in an honest and transparent way. Because we care about your product. We haven't seen really people whose product, whose collection is really bad. It's more about, making sure that the designer and the team has a business mindset, and making sure that we highlight to them that there are dangers out there, and they've got to spot it. They've got to spot basically the red flag, the fake news, because otherwise you could be investing $5,000 or $10,000 or its equivalent in euros or pounds and lose it all. And it hurts. Especially, I'm sure you've been talking to 5 or 10 designers and you know the pain or the trouble they've been going through. You need also to make sure you have a plan. This plan is going to be your structure to get there. When you take your car, you know where you're going. You know the route you're going to take. The same thing has to apply to your business in the world of fashion. You also need some KPOs, some key performance objectives. What is it you want to achieve? When you go to that trade show, what's your expectation? Is it to get 2 clients or to get 20 clients? Because what you're going to implement, what you need to learn, what you need to do, what you need to prepare for is going to be different, whether you just want 1 client or 20 clients, whether you want to connect with 1 PR company or 2, whether you want 1 article out of that exercise or 5 articles and 20 leads. People go and ask me, the one question that came by email was about, are trade shows still relevant today? Well, they're still going to be relevant in one way, but at the same time, the question is, for you in that specific country, is it going to be relevant? So you need to not just get an answer. Are trade shows relevant? The question is, what are you expecting? Which trade show are you going to pick? Are your competition at that trade show? If they're not, why are you going there? Is the price right? What is the investment you're making? And what is the return on investment you're expecting? These are key questions you want to ask. So when you get there, then the question is, okay, I've picked up the right trade show. My competition is over there. The price is right. My location is right. It's not just about going to the trade show and waiting for the orders. That doesn't work. I remember somebody who, had an MBA, went to Pure London and prepared nothing. What would I expect when I work with you, when I work with a client? I expect if you go to a trade show, to a fashion week, to an event like that, where you could be investing easily $5,000, $10,000 or even more, is to prepare, for example, with a trade show, a list of boutiques you're going to connect with. They need to know that you exist. They need to plan coming to your booth or your stand before they leave their boutique. They need to know that you're going to be able to impress them. So they need to know a few things about you, your existence, before they arrive at the show. And how are you going to stand out? How are you going to connect with them? Can you just connect by sending 1 email? Most probably not today. There's too much competition. But if you do a clever mix, when I work with clients, between emails, phone calls, social media, that's when you start getting results. So you need that objective and the measurement that's attached to it. Now, of course, life has good times and bad times, but you're here to climb the mountain. And you know what? Together, it will work. And that's why you're here, because you know that if you learn new things, you put more training and understanding, knowledge, expertise in your business, you will grow your business. The second thing that I really want to emphasize is building a team. You must look at the word team as both an internal team and external team, because some of you today are young designers, even students. And so the question is, no, Thierry, I'm on my own. And correct, you are. But are you able to ask for help from family and friends? Most probably you will. Are you going to be able to have such a powerful why, such a powerful vision and values? Thierry, I care about sustainability. I care about giving back to the community. And you will drive people to go a long way with you and help you for free. Of course, they might just give you 30 minutes. They might give you an hour. They might invite you for lunch. They might introduce you a contact. But whatever that contribution, they will provide it to you. Just make sure you respect their time and try to make sure you make it a two-way street. And sometimes just a thank you is going to go a long way. But when somebody thanks you, you can always make sure you send them a testimonial or even a video testimonial. All that can help. And those are little things which will cost you nothing, but you've received something in exchange which is valuable for you to set up and grow your business. Building a team also means that you have to understand that nobody knows it all, whether you, myself, or your team members. So what does it mean? It means that we are all going to be learning every day, every week, every year. Maybe on the job, but maybe outside the job. So if you know that you're building your business quickly, how does every team member learn about best practice? Do you give them or provide them with a mentor, a coach? Do you send them outside for training? Or do you just expect them to learn things as they go? Unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to happen, because we create our tomorrow based on our yesterday. So sometimes you need to bring fresh ideas coming from the outside. And that's why people like the fact that we intervene on some projects to open their eyes to a new reality, to a new perspective. And I also want to make sure that when you work with external partners, you also consider that those people may have today your best interest, but not necessarily ongoing always. So try to make sure you understand how you can acquire some kind of IP from them. Meaning they're a PR company. Great. They do your PR. That's great. Thank them, keep them, be loyal. At the same time, try to understand, how do we do better PR? Make sure you start learning how they do it well, so you can basically do it well yourself tomorrow, just in case. What if anything goes wrong? Because on so many occasions over the years, I've heard people basically telling me that they invested money with an agent, with a trade show, with a PR company, with a web developer. When something went wrong and you ask them, what did you learn about that experience? Nothing. Because they were not asking questions. They were not trying to get the IP. They were not trying to understand the process and the logic behind the work that person was doing. And that prevents you from building a stronger business. And once again, after so many years, the work that and the experience I'm sharing and the skills I'm sharing with you have been when working with, of course, young designers, SMEs, but also larger corporations, whether it's going to be Smalto, Moschino, Versace, and many others from both menswear, women's wear, kids wear, and also a little bit of, home and gift. So make sure also that when you work with people, you make them understand that they have to own their job. Because if they come to your office, or if they work from home, or whether they are a service provider, and they're just here to take a check, then there's not going to be continuity and long-term standing for that business. So you want to make sure that they really own their job. They feel responsible, autonomous in the way they can work with you ongoing. Now, remember, and I love that business quote from Sam Walton, is that the customer is really your boss, because he can decide to spend his money with you or not. So what's going to make him or her decide to spend the money with you? We want to make sure we understand our customers. And today, I have people who have had a brand for 15 years, and today they don't know precisely who their customer is. You may find that strange, but the reality is your product can be hot, you're able to sell it, but as you try to scale up, that's where the danger comes in. When you try to scale up, that's where you need to have that strong foundation. This is why you need, to understand the logic and the process of what you're doing. Sometimes something's not working, but you don't know it because you haven't been able to scale up with that system. For example, when people try to go to the US, they feel they can duplicate everything they do in Europe. And I've been, providing many companies from, high-end designers to, I would say, more, ready-to-wear products. And they've realized that after 4 hours discussing the US market, many of them have been telling me, Thierry, there's too much. They realize that if you want to approach the US market as a foreign brand and you want to be successful in the US, you've got to change the way you build your collection, how you show it, creating a lookbook, your price list. I would say the Incoterm you're going to use, the payment terms you're going to use. And therefore, you need to understand that, the buyer over there, that the agent, sales rep in the US is going to be looking for something different that you're not accustomed to when you work purely out of Europe. And therefore, why people fail so often in the US is because they go to the US with an Asian or European perspective, and it just doesn't work. So, know who your customer is. Understand where you can find them precisely. Knowing that she's in her 30s and she loves to travel does not tell me on which door to knock. Does she buy a Ferrari or a BMW? Does she wear Prada, Gucci, Paul and Joe? Whatever brand she buys, you know them precisely. And not just one or two or three, many more across all the product categories. So, and knowing that information about your customers is critical. And I would say start that journey even before you start investing big money, because that's going to give you a kickstart much more, productive. And the return on investment is going to be real and serious. And because today, building a collection, doing it, potentially twice a year, and maybe having capsule collection in between is going to cost the exercise. So you want to make sure you are clear about who your customer is and where you can find them. By understanding also the brands you connect with, who's the brands that you are in competition with or you synergize with, it's going to allow you also to build strong partnerships. And your heart's going to speak, and those people are going to spot it, and they will be willing to work with you. I've seen that, when working with clients. So there's also something which is really important in your success, in those 8 top tips that you need to work on strongly. It's about, making sure you can manage the numbers, that your numbers, what you're trying to achieve, because otherwise you're not going to be able to take the right steps to move forward effectively. So what I want to emphasize, and it's a real weakness in the world of fashion, is not necessarily having a proper brief. It's not having clear deliverables. So what is it you want precisely? If you're cooking this evening or for lunch, are you going to be cooking for 2 people, 4, or 8? If you're going to be cooking for 2 or for 8, I assume you're going to tell me I'm going to have to use different quantities of food. If you're cooking for a friend or you're cooking for the Queen of England, I suppose you're not going to be necessarily presenting your dish in the same way. If you're addressing 2 different kind of people, one may like sugar, the other one may not. So you're going to put less or more sugar, depending on who you're going to be basically cooking for. The same applies to our customers. So, the other thing I want to be clear about, and which is really a weakness in the world of fashion, I need to repeat that, is understanding that building a fashion brand is like building a house. You need an architect, you need a blueprint. I mean, you can't expect to sell your house, which is a 2-story house with 2 bedrooms, when that the people who want to live in that neighborhood have a family of 4 minimum. And therefore, a 2-bedroom is a no-no. You will never sell your house to that population, that segment of the market, because with 4 kids, that family will never buy your house. So why did we build it in the first place? The absence of understanding your customers and the failure to give a brief to the architect. Now, when to make it effective, this is why you need to make sure that you also link the proposal that people will send you to what you want and make the two join together. And therefore, it's all about asking the right questions. And thanks to you, I had to launch an online course to basically say, look, this is the process you need to have to make sure you have a very comprehensive list of questions to address any opportunity or challenge you're going to be facing in your business to be able to grow. And therefore, have those monthly deliverables for your team, whether it's an intern, by the way, or whether it's a full expert professional working for you. And even more, of course, if it's an external individual or company. And once again, if there's big money, then it might have to be every week and not just every month. Now, on many occasions in the world of fashion, when I see one problem, I see one solution. Yes, to every problem, there is a solution. I'm confident that you can say that, and I will say that as well. But to every problem, there's more than one solution. And the solution you're going to pick up is going to depend on your context. It's going to depend on where you are today, where you want to be tomorrow. It's going to depend on the money you're going to be able to invest, on the people and the resources you have to maybe implement the solution. So, first of all, never only have just one idea. You've got to bounce back at least 2 to 3 ideas, try to see the pros and cons to be extremely productive in your solutions. So, understand that to get sales, what is the things we need to do before sales to get sales? Well, I think we said it at the beginning. You, like me, we need to find prospects. We need to convert them into a client, and we need to make them come back. I mean, would it make sense that you build, a business, you basically design dresses, and every single season, the lady that buys your dress is gone, you need to find a new one? Then you've got to fix that. Why is she not coming back? So, it's all about products, people, and processes. And therefore, your job is to find the process for recruitment, for spotting fake news, for, delivering a perfect trade show, going to a fashion week and getting results. It's about, what's the process to fire somebody? What's the process to handle a complaint in your business? Of course, you don't have the time to do everything. Time is a limited resource for you, for me, for everybody. So what are those 20 tasks which are going to produce 80% of the results? This is the Pareto law. It applies to everything we do. It might be 70-30, 60-40, but a small chunk is going to produce a big chunk of the results. So apply that. And of course, review it regularly because, when you're doing $10,000 in sales, $100,000 in sales, $1 million in sales, or 10 million, or 100 million, you're not going to be, of course, doing the same thing and reviewing the same thing. Now, fashion, as you know, is your dream. And our objective at Global Fashion Management is to make that dream a reality. And I think I really want to go back to Tom Ford because I think he nailed it very well in this business quote. We have to decide whether we are trying to build a hobby or a business. So you've got to decide whether it's just art or an artistic business. And somebody sent us a text on WhatsApp prior to the webinar, the live stream today. And, that person said, do we need a business degree to launch a fashion business? And that is a very, very good question. And that's actually the whole reason why this live stream is conducted and has the content it has. And therefore, to thank people and to thank that person, that individual, they will be able to receive an hour free consulting, because I think that question is absolutely great. Because once again, your job, my job, is to make sure we sell. Of course, you need to understand your cash flow. Why? Because maybe your cash flow allows you to wait a month, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years. If you're in the luxury sector, it will take you time to build your reputation, to build your brand image. And you may need more money to be able to do that. And you may have to delay sales. That's okay. But you need to make sure that you're happy at the speed at which sales are going to come in. So first of all, start selling even before you start investing big money. Identify your customers. Try to see how you can, show them what you're planning to do, or show them maybe just images, and try to see how you can spot their interest, get them to be a follower, try to get their details, try to be ambassadors for you. You need to sell. So what are your options today in the world of fashion? Typically, you've got 3 distribution channels you can use and depend on. Wholesale, what we call business to business, B2B. So you're going to be selling to boutiques, multi-label boutiques, and those will be selling to your consumers. You could be going the retail route. You could be going, what we call business to consumer, B2C, and therefore you're going to sell directly to the consumer, to the end consumer. And you could also, which is another retail route, you could go online and sell online. Now, is there, Thierry, one that is better? Because that's a question that came in as well. Unfortunately, no, there's not necessarily one which is better than the other. Potentially, with the current situation we have and the crisis we're going through, a lot of people believe that wholesale is dead or has a real challenge. It's a little bit true, but not all around the world. Not every boutique. With my American partners, we basically manage buying and merchandising for hundreds of boutiques around the world. And I can tell you some are still very, very successful. I've got a client in France. She was at 95% of last year's sales. So a very good results when her year end was finishing at the end of July and having several months, of COVID included in that year. So it is possible. But then she has been in that boutique for many years, over 15, and she knows her customers very well. And of course, I'll be talking about, some of the steps she's taking as a retailer to be successful. And of course, you're going to be able to adapt your wholesale strategy to fit the needs and the wants of those retailers. So pick up the channel you want, that you feel strong about. One is not better than the other, but I can promise you, you will need your dedicated financial and human resources, dedicated tools and processes, whether it's wholesale, retail, with a brick and mortar, pop-up, or whether it's online sales. Online seems to be great, and it is. The margin's great. But online also means that you carry the stock. Do you have the money to do that? And then we go back to Pareto law. 20% of your products are going to do 80% of your sales. Well, that means that 80% of your goods are not going to sell very well. Could you be overstocked? Could you be preventing your cash flow to be right because those goods are not selling? If you know that some goods are not going to be selling, can you make sure you produce less? Can you make sure you expedite the selling of those goods, even if it's at cost, without breaking the brand image? None of those questions are necessarily easy. And that's why you want to make sure that you have somebody who can provide you that sounding board to make sure you pick up the right solution. I had somebody who approached me, unfortunately too late, because she came basically 8 months after the season has started. She said, what can I do? I'm overstocked with my swimwear. Well, the question is, as soon as you launched the order with the manufacturer, your next step for me is, okay, we're going to sit down on a plan, on a marketing and sales plan. So even before the goods hit your warehouse, I know exactly what we're going to be doing. every single week, every single month. And we're going to have targets, as I mentioned in my process. And if we're not reaching those targets, simple, we're going to change the plan. We may not change the end result we're trying to get, but we may have to change the route. I mean, when there's a traffic and you're stuck, but you've got an opportunity to get out of that, highway, motorway, you can change route. Wouldn't you do it if you know you're stuck in the location you are? Yes, you will. Same thing. I'm still going to go and see my parents, but I'm going to change the route to get there. Same thing. And therefore, make sure that you are never alone in that sales exercise. Not only because you have maybe interns, staff, a sales team, also maybe because you have external partners, whether an agent, a distributor, but consider all the others. You have a network. Why wouldn't Joe or Caroline, Veronica, be able to introduce you to people they know? The question is, we forget to thank them. We forget to tell them that if they do something for us, we will do something for them. Very few of us will actually plan some kind of a little, couple of paragraphs, 1 page or max, and say, you know what, there's a successful referral fee for you, should anything happen. And if it's tangible, if it's in writing, I'm going to believe you. And that's going to make me take that extra step to introduce you to somebody to help you succeed. I don't say that some people will not do it because it's missing, but I say, make it work for you and don't lose an opportunity. I'm sure we all meet hundreds of people every year. Why don't we transform some of them into ambassadors? Once again, the Pareto law will say that potentially 5, 10, 15, 20% of those people will produce 80% of the results. I don't say it's easy to spot who they are, but think, set up a plan, and make it work for you. So remember, we're all here to sell. We can't build a brand unless you're going to make money. Even if you're a charity, you still need to sustain the business in one way or the other. So we've got to be selling. And therefore, I want to answer a little bit that question about, that person who sent it through WhatsApp. Do I need a business degree to launch a fashion brand? Well, it is a business, as Tom Ford said. You've got to be willing to build not a hobby, but a business. So you would naturally say, I want a business degree. I would be in favor of that. But at the same time, what does some of my experience show? I've got people who have been in top schools in the UK, but in other countries. And basically, they come to Global Fashion Management or the London Fashion Business Academy telling us that they learn everything about the history of fashion, designers, often marketing, but they've never been taught how to handle the back office, meaning questions on logistics. Thierry, how do we ship goods from France to the US? What kind of shipping terms do we use? Thierry, what kind of payment terms do we use? Do I apply the same rules to Japan, to Nigeria, to France, to the US, to Uruguay? Unfortunately, you cannot use the same payment terms. You cannot use the same shipping terms. But who's telling you that? Who's teaching you that? Fortunately, we've got that knowledge. We're going to share the logic and the process with you, and you're going to be a stronger person, a stronger business. The difference in the way we work with the client is we make sure that you understand the logic and the process. So you want a business mind for sure. Business degree, I don't say no, but make sure you understand what are you trying to get out of it. Well, Thierry, I want sales, I want marketing, I want back office, logistics, payments. See if they offer you that. And if it's not part of the curriculum, just say, look, I'm not going to pay you as much as you want me to pay you unless you add that. Or you're paying for, what you're paying for, and you make sure you add something coming from the outside. That's it. Know what you want. We go back, understand what are your goals, what you want out of it. And then you can still go for that business degree to build a fashion business. But because don't forget, it's a puzzle. There's many components and they all need to work smoothly, because otherwise, if one is wrong, potentially you're not going to make money. you're not going to have a financially sustainable business. So, how do you sell at wholesale? Well, first of all, you need to connect with boutiques which are relevant to your brand. That's why we need to go back to understanding your competition and understanding the brands in synergy with yours. Once again, neither you nor me will convert at 100%. So what you want to understand is, if I build a database of 10 people, how many are going to buy? Let's make it 3. Are 3 people buying your product good enough? No, Thierry, I really need at least 10. Okay, so if you get 3 out of 10 to buy from you, then if you want 10 orders, you need 30 people in your database. So that's it. It starts being tangible. Now, you might tell me boutiques are closing, nobody's making money. That's not real. That's not true. I don't say in a specific city, in a specific road, street, you may not have people having to close down. That's true. But I've had a lot of boutiques, for example, in accessories working well. I have a lot of boutiques which have been going outside their comfort zone to reinvent the customer journey, making sure that their marketing message vis-a-vis to the consumer is right, meaning providing security, peace of mind. They told me, Thierry, we're spending more time with the consumer. We're talking about, we're becoming shrinks even more than in the past, even though it was already part of their function. But they are reinventing themselves. And you know what they want, what they're asking me, what I'm telling them to do is make sure you also have a product which is available on stock. Because neither you nor me, we can plan what's going to happen in 6 months or in 3 months or even in 15 days. Governments are taking an action. Just look at what's happening in the UK. And basically, things can change overnight. So you want a product that you nearly buy today, that arrives tomorrow, that you sell the day after. So your strength as a brand is to try to be able to offer stock, a quick turnaround in manufacturing. I know it's not going to necessarily be easy. And that's why, we're here to brainstorm ideas of how you can do it effectively. But that's what you want. Now, if I tell you that, when you buy from me at 100, you're going to sell it, let's say, at 250. Now, if I was to say, look, that is the norm within the fashion industry. You buy 100, you'll sell it at 250. Now, what if I was to sell it to you at 90 or 80? You would increase your margin. Would that appeal to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? Absolutely. So, what is it you can do to show the buyer that you care about his business or her business, and you're going to give them more? You're going to give them the right product. He loves you for that. You've got a very strong why. Now I can even improve your margin. Now, I can't say do it because I need to look at the whole business as a whole. Because otherwise, potentially, I could be making you hit the wall and lose your business. But I want you to open all those doors. Or I want somebody to help you open all those questions so you can take the best decision for your business long term. When I look at a problem or an opportunity, I make sure that the solution we provide is sustainable long term. And then you understand that within that journey, if anything changes, what should you change? So you're really in the clear. You've got clarity, you've got transparency, and you understand how every stakeholder is going to interact in what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do. And definitely in the selling exercise, build partnerships because everybody needs you. If you've got a database of 10, I've got a database of 10, we are together having a database of 20. So I'm going to be able to reach out to people I don't know, and you're going to be able, thanks to me, to reach out to people you don't know. So make sure you work out partnership. They've got to be smart. I had a client basically decided to work with a celebrity who was considered to be a B celebrity. And so when they decided to take an approach an A celebrity, the A celebrity said, I'm sorry, you've been dealing with B. I'm not interested. And they really had to invest over a year and a lot of money to be able to move out of B to get the A celebrity. So you want to make sure that you reflect on those to make the best decision long-term for the business. So the one thing also I really want to emphasize is, you are both a buyer and a seller. And by the way, if you treat your margins and you analyze all your margins, you're going to be more profitable. Because don't forget, if you buy cheaper, you're going to have a better margin, or you're going to be able to share that better margin with the retailer. Also, very often, especially because some of you are young designers, startup companies, you feel that, you're not going to be able to sell 20 pieces and you produce only 5 and your cost goes up. But then because your cost goes up, because you were sold the fact that, you've got to multiply 2, you multiply by 2.5, and that's going to be the retail price. Maybe that retail price for the consumer is going to be way beyond reach. And also you could be at a level where you're going to have competition, which are going to be at the same price when you're unknown, or potentially even cheaper. And therefore you're not going to sell. So you've got also to open another door, which have been very successful with the people we've been working with, which is to say, look, yes, selling 5 looks easy and feasible. Selling 20 looks so hard, and it's a much higher target than 5. But then you've got savings on cost, and therefore the margin is really a factor to help you. Now the question is, what if you pick up with the manufacturer to produce 20? What if you apply the rule we've discussed before, which is, as soon as I place the order to produce 20, I'm going to straight away work the plan, the marketing plan and the sales plan. Don't you think you're going to be better off? Absolutely. Because you're going to have at least 30, 60 days to think about the strategy before the goods hit the warehouse. And then you're going to have, the season, however long you feel is going to last for you, to be able to actually implement things. And don't forget, 60 days to reflect on what's going to be the best marketing and sales plan is a long time. And we can put great ideas. We can use, ambassadors, influencers. Because don't forget, the process, the step-by-step process to sell 5 or 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 can be the same. And the additional extra work can be marginal. But if you nail the process right, you just need to put more names at the top and you'll get more orders at the bottom. And that's the way you need to look at it. And that's why it's been a successful way to move the business forward more effectively. Produce a little bit more, get a lower cost. Of course, challenge your manufacturer to be a partner, not just, a supplier. What you need to focus on as an owner of a fashion brand is project management. It's understanding, how do I basically manage projects better every single day, every single week? And therefore, what is it exactly you want? And know exactly the results you expect from the project. And that applies, of course, to the questions you're going to be asking to your team. And once again, intern or, full-time person, whether internal or external, makes no difference. It is the same. And therefore, you've got to be asking the right questions. And that's why, feel free to reach out, whether you want us to work face-to-face, online, through online, combination of both, to make sure that you're able to be better. I said it, I will repeat it. It's about, having a puzzle in front of you. Every piece of the puzzle is really important. When you go to a trade show, it's not just you going there. It's the shipping term, payment terms, price list, editing your collection. If I give you 200 pieces to view and I don't even know you, most probably I'm not going to buy from you. You're better off showing 50 to 70 pieces initially and getting me to understand 100% who you are, what you want, what you stand for. Easier to buy. You had people very successful. They just went with one product, even though they had a total look collection in their menswear collection. But they went for just the trousers, stock, every imaginable color available on stock. So people went to them to pick up 2 pieces, 5 pieces, 20 pieces, one in red, one in blue. They tried. If it doesn't sell, okay, no big deal. As soon as that was working, Then the people started ordering shirts and jackets and t-shirts and so on and so forth. So you want to make sure you have a project management process, that works for you on every important decisions you're going to make, every task that's going to happen in your business. And of course, we have made one super easy, and we made it even more super easy because we guarantee to you that it will work. And that's why we have basically an online course where we're going to give you personal time to make sure we prove to you that it's going to work on any project. And to those attending this webinar live stream, I personally commit to work with you and prove to you that it will work. You will pick up a project, you will start working on the process, and we will review it together. And you will see at the end of the process that you're going to be stronger in the results you're going to get. Guaranteed. Trust me on that. Otherwise, we'll reimburse you. No problem, but it won't happen. Now, over the years, there's one thing I can tell you. Fashion success today is no more about what you know. It's about what you don't know. I mean, just take social media. There's a lot of newness coming every single time. Correct? Same thing for a lot of things. When I told you people have a strong business in Europe, they want to go to the US, what is the big mistake they often make? Because also some consultants, wrong consultants, are selling them the things they should never see, put forward. Go to the US and work with what we call an FOB price list, free on board. It means that you leave duty and freight to be paid and to be the responsibility of the buyer. The buyer has a store. 9 times out of 10, 99% out of 100, they're going to be an independent retailer. The last thing they want is to be bothered with duty and freight. They want a product you deliver at their store, everything's included, and that's what they want. No pain. Easy thing. If you go to the US and you don't have a delivered duty paid price list, including duty and freight, you're not going to grow the business. If you take one order, I don't say you won't, you are missing 10, 20, 50. I've seen it all the time. I joined a client at Magic. I told him how to precisely respond. And what happened is, to one client who had spent several minutes starting selecting the products, she asked, "Where do you ship from?" Guess what? He answered, the UK. Against everything I told him. The lady just turned around and left. Happens that a friend, sales agent, consultant came on the stand. He re-emphasized what I had told the client. A lady who was providing consultancy out of New York came. She repeated again. He didn't make the mistake twice. But we lost that order. Every order counts. Every single order counts. Well, we still reached in excess of 20 orders. But still, every single order counts. So, what are you going to learn? Now, today, nobody knows it all. I hope we all agree. And therefore, what we also need to accept is critical thinking. Who's going to challenge you in the decision you're going to make? Our clients, the people we talk to, they want to learn the golden rules. People want not to make the mistakes that others have made. I can promise you every single season I see the same mistakes happening. Give me a context. Feel free. You're on board today. You're listening maybe to the recording. Send us a context. We'll tell you most probably what's going to happen. At 80%, we're going to tell you that's going to happen. And most probably tell me, Thierry, that's what happened to me. And put a price to that mistake. How much is the mistake costing you? What do you see on that image? I love to put that image on a live, presentation. Very often, 9 out of 10 will tell me, Thierry, I see the crescent of the moon. And then ask them the question, well, how do you know it's the crescent of the moon? They tell me, my apologies. They tell me, Thierry, I see the moon. I say, how do you know it's the moon? Because I don't see the moon. And the reason why you see the moon when somebody else actually sees the crescent of the moon is because you were taught that. That's it. The the question we need to ask ourselves is, what kind of objectives do we need to have? So many people, they spend $5,000, $10,000. They go to a trade show yesterday. Today, they might work digitally. And when you ask them, what's your expectation? Oh, Thierry, I don't know. It's the first time I'm going to a trade show. Well, if you answer, you don't know what should be the goal when you invest $5,000 to $10,000, it means you didn't interview anybody. You didn't ask any question to anybody, ourselves or anybody else, to be able to know what should be the minimum expectation that you need to have when you start investing money. Even if you start working with us, you take an online course and it's costing you $50, I don't care. What is it you want? And I'm happy that you don't buy it unless you ask us the question. So for us, when we talk about online course, for example, it's not just you being on your own on an online course. No, we're happy to receive your phone call, providing you a WhatsApp number so it doesn't cost you anything, making sure that we offer free emails because I don't want you to be alone. No way. So today, you're going to see the moon because somebody taught you it was the moon. So same thing. Let us teach and share with you what are the indicators you need to look at. What are the goals you need to have when working with a company or when going on a project? Because a mistake can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. And you know that, and I know that. So, the question we need to remember is we want to make sure that, as a summary, why do you do what you do? People want to understand why you are basically setting up that business. You've got a dream, sell it. And by the way, when we work together, I'm not asking you to be a salesperson, a financial person. We are never going to ask you to be an admin, an accountant, a lawyer. But we're going to make sure that you understand what should be the good, critical, top questions you need to ask to an intern, to an internal person, or to your service provider to make sure you are able to grow your business globally and profitably. You don't need to become that expert, but you just need to ask smart questions. And you'll spot the real good partner from the wrong one. You'll spot the fake news from the real ones. And if we were to be guilty, you're also going to spot us. You want a strong blueprint, a solid blueprint. You need to understand what you're trying to achieve. Who's going to do what every single week, every single month? That has to be clear. We've got even something online to handle just that. When I say have the experts around you, it can be an intern. That's okay, because when you're launching a business, it might just be somebody like that. But you want that person to be extremely effective, productive in whatever you're going to ask them to do. Accept critical thinking. Leave your ego on the door. It doesn't bring any value added to the business. I know that, it's hard to see, your perspective being challenged and being wrong. I understand that. But look beyond the words. Does it make sense? At the last trade show, a long-term client came back and said, Thierry, at the beginning, you were really bothering me. Yeah, why? I needed him to, tell me precisely. And he told me, Thierry, you are refusing to answer some of my questions. Correct. I was refusing to answer some of his questions. Some of the questions could be provided. I could provide an answer straight away. I wasn't bothered about that. But the reason why I had to basically refuse to answer some of his questions is because they were more complex. It entailed other issues. And I needed him to have a business mind on that question he was asking me. And if I was to provide him just with a solution, he would never, ever, ever understand the process and the logic. He would not be able to grow as an individual and as a business. So I had to make him understand, look, I can give you an answer because I know you, I know what you're trying to achieve. But I need you to understand how you need on your own tomorrow. Because if I go and decide to work in Zanzibar, I may not be able to help you. So I want you to be totally autonomous and responsible. I don't want you to depend on me. So I had to make sure I showed him how he needed to basically understand the process and the logic to handle that same question on his own tomorrow, or a similar question. And then You want to make sure that you take action every single week on sales or sales related activities. And of course, today, with the crisis we're going through and people not working from home, and you're having less traffic in boutiques and having big challenges and competition online, you want to make sure that you invent your new marketing message. Today, we have to be more together. We want to buy more local. We want to be more sustainable. What is it is going to impact effectively the people you work with, whether as a client or as a partner. And I want to leave you a little bit of a homework, because it's not about just listening to a live stream, a webinar, is what kind of action we're going to take tomorrow. Otherwise, that time is possibly wasted. So I want you to have a clear blueprint about what you're going to try to achieve, ideally over the next 30, 60, 90 days, but hopefully 12 months. And have some KPOs, key performance objectives. What is it precisely? Are you looking for 2 clients or 20 clients? Are you trying to sell 200 pieces, 50 pieces, 5,000 pieces? Make sure you understand your fashion mapping. Who are the competition, the brands in synergy with yourself? Finally, making sure as well that you have the distribution channel you're going to focus on. You cannot necessarily simultaneously do wholesale, retail, and online, because it's going to be a lot of money, a lot of time, and people. So you may have to just pick one, even though you may have the existence of the 2 others, but you may not effectively invest the time and the money. Make sure you understand how you're going to generate money and sales every month, if that's part of the business plan. If you're going to, you can sustain it with the cash flow. And as I mentioned, you've got to prepare the new marketing message. So not only you need to invest marketing time, I want you to reinvent the marketing message if you haven't done it over the last few weeks or the last few months. And of course, we're here to offer you that support, whether it's going to be, face-to-face if we can travel, or whether it's going to be online, or whether it's going to be through an online course or a mix. So what is your new normal today? We're going to leave you with that. And you're going to have to reflect on how we can make it extremely effective for you. So if you have a fashion brand, if you have a retail business, if you have a dream and you're looking to build that dream into a reality, if you want to make that brand global and profitable, you need to make sure that you have a new mindset. A mindset where you're going to mix your creative power, which I know you have, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. And I know that from all the experience I have, the product is good. But the second component is the business angle. And that business angle has to be within the business or through a close partner, somebody who's going to support you all the way. And you need to make sure that those people, this organization is going to be having your best interest. And therefore, you need to understand what we've discussed earlier today to make that business extremely successful. You can reach out to us at any time. We've got, a lot of articles, videos, and we're happy to work with you and talk to you before you make any investment. It makes sense. So once again, if you love online courses, feel free to visit the LondonFashionBusinessAcademy.com. There's a lot in it. If you want to know more about the work we do with global fashion management, feel free to visit the blog and the rest of the website. And there's a lot of content. When you register with us, we've got, a whole series also of very practical articles so you can basically set up, scale up, manage your business much more profitably and effectively. Thank you so much for watching. And I thank both, I would say, people in the US, in Europe, also in Asia, because we have some friends from Malaysia. And of course, there's always a winner. So this person who sent me that question, which was, do you need basically a business degree to run a fashion business, is somebody who's going to win that free 1-hour consulting, because those are great questions that we need to reflect. Have basically a mind where you're going to have a powerful, creative mind and a business mindset. Enjoy your business. Enjoy the day ahead. Be safe. And looking forward to your questions after the live stream. Bye-bye.